Good morning, everybody. I'm doing a video on the life of Tilikum the orca by request from one of my subscribers. This up here, it comes from onegreenplanet.org. The life of Tilikum, fear and loathing. For 30 years, Tilikum, by the way, Tilikum has passed away January 6, 2017. For 30 years, Tilikum has been committed to an asylum of despair and deprivation. For years we have clung to the hope that once again he might feel the embrace of the living sea. We maintained hope that a shred of decency would arise within the cold corporate heart of SeaWorld, and that they would grant... I'm having a problem. They would grant Tilikum the one gift he most desired and deserved: freedom. That hope is now all but gone. Tilikum is dead. The recent announcement by SeaWorld that Tilikum is nearing the end of his tragic life was spun with a major lie. Despite the best care available, like all aging animals, he battled chronic health issues that are taking a greater toll as he aged, said SeaWorld. Tilikum was 35 years old, who should be in the prime of his life. Orca males live on an average of 70 years in the wild, and females can surpass a century. SeaWorld wants us all to believe that Tilikum died a natural death from old age. That's bullshit. This statement is a deliberate lie crafted by the public relations team of SeaWorld. Tilikum's life has been one of tragic abuse ever since he was torn from his family in 1981 at the age of 2. As they hauled him from the water and brought him on board, his pod were visibly disturbed. His mother followed in the wake of the fleeing boat, and she continued to follow hopelessly as her baby cried piteously until she could hear nothing more. The capture boat sped away, leaving Tilikum's family pod and mother behind. He would never see them ever again in his life. I don't like the way this page skips. Okay. First, forcibly separated from his mother, followed by forceful separation a year later from his 2 young companions, who were later sold off to the aquarium facility in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where Nandu died at 1988 at 8 years of age. On this page. I'm sorry. Let me change this to reading view, okay? Alright, that's better. The life of Tilikum, fear and loathing, deprivation and death in the aquatic asylum. So let's go down to where I was. Okay, right here. Tilikum's early life. The baby orca was confined for a year at, I need you guys to pronounce that, Marine Zoo Park near here, Iceland, along with 2 other baby orcas, Nandu and Samoa, before being transferred to Sealand of the Pacific outside of Victoria, British Columbia. That voice is hard. Trying to get past this advertisement. Hold on. Okay. Anyways, so first forcibly separated from it, forcibly, okay? It's a lot like an alien. No, I don't believe in aliens, okay? But it's a lot like an abduction. They're pulled out of their natural habitat, put onto a boat, put onto a truck or a plane for their final destination. It's terrible. First forcibly separated from his mother, followed by a forceful separation a year later from his 2 young companions. Okay, I've read this. Let's see. Samoa, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Sorry. First, forcibly separated from his mother, followed by a forceful separation a year later from his 2 young companions, who were later sold off to the aquarium facility in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where Nandu died in 1988 at only 8 years of age. Samoa was resold to SeaWorld in Ohio and then shipped to SeaWorld San Antonio for breeding. And let me tell you how they breed these guys. It's disgusting. She became the first orca to die March 14th, 1992 at SeaWorld from birth complications caused by a fungal infection. She was only 12. Alright. It might be in this article, but I read in another article that the breeding program, the way they do it, is absolutely disgusting. Alright? The trainers or some other human, believe it or not, actually masturbates the male orca to harvest the sperm. That's disgusting, you guys. Okay? We know Tilikum had an aggression to him. Rightfully so. Alright? He was put into a tank. A pool. Okay? When these sentient beings are forced to live in a frickin' pool, it's sleep deprivation. Or it's deprivation because they echolocate. They communicate through that. And when they try to communicate and echolocate, well, what happens is that echoes back because they are in a bowl of cement. And as for being masturbated, I'm sorry, but I think Tilikum was defending himself. Alright? Anybody who thinks that they're going to control an orca has a god complex and is a narcissist. Alright? So yeah, he killed Tilikum. I don't think he even murdered. He defended himself. Alright? Yeah. He defended himself against his trainer Dana Brancheau. Alright? Wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you? If your trainer is jacking you off for sperm, that's disgusting. I mean, there's no word for that. That's just, ew, yuck. Alright? So maybe he just got tired of being masturbated by humans. Can you blame him? Alright? These animals are kept in captivity, are food deprived, unless they perform. This is not how they perform in real life. Orca whales are very gentle. Now, I would probably stay away from the transients, but the residents, they are gentle giants. Okay? I would have no problem diving. I'm a scuba diver. I would have no fear of jumping into the water with a tank, with a pod, with an ocean full, a pod full of orcas. They're that gentle. By the way, the term killer whale, little incorrect. The orca is an odontocete. And what that means is they're the largest of the dolphins. They're in the dolphin family. So, why are they called killer whales? Well, they're actually killer of whales, okay? And they can take down any whale, any shark. Yes, I'm specifically speaking about the transients. Anyway, so these guys are defending themselves. First forcibly separated from his mother, followed by a young orca in the sea is taken care of by its mother and pod family extremely well. Constant attention and parental instructions, surrounded by love we can only imagine, but a love that is real nonetheless. To be snatched from that security in a small tank must have been excruciatingly traumatic. You think? You think? These are sentient beings. How would you feel if you're pulled away from your loving family and placed in confinement? You'd feel like a damn prisoner. This was followed by being taken completely out of the water, placing in a shipping container, and flown halfway around the earth, far, far away from the place nature had intended for him. In Victoria, Tilikum was placed in a 100 by 50 foot pool only 35 feet deep. You guys, they don't have enough room to dive. So they have to stay at the surface, and they're subjected to the UV radiation or UV whatevers from the sun. Trained with food deprivation techniques and bullied by two other female orcas, Haida and Nootka. Meaning, if Tilikum refused to perform, Haida and Nootka too would not get their food. Look at this. One of the reasons for bullying, aside from the crowded condition, was that the food was deprived from all three orcas. When Tilikum did not perform to satisfaction of the trainers, Sealand also did not take into consideration that Tilikum was an Icelandic whale and unable to communicate with two Pacific Northwest orcas. The Pacific Northwest orcas are the residents that are in trouble. Okay? The effect of captivity on Tilikum. Forced to do 8 shows a day, 7 days a week, Tilikum developed stomach ulcers at a very young age. Tilikum, along with Haida and Nootka, marked a historical first with the killing of 20 years old Kelty Byrne on February 21st, 1991, at Sealand in the Pacific. She was tossed between the 3 orcas until she drowned. The first human being ever documented to have been killed by an orca. That should say something. Orcas are fighting back. Okay? They're fighting back. They're not supposed to be contained. Alright? Orcas travel in a straight line hundreds of miles a day. What happens when you put a big old orca in a swimming pool? They can't even do that. They have to swim in circles. And just remember, when you guys buy a ticket to go see these beautiful sentient beings perform, what do you think they're doing when they're not performing? They're lying there listless on the top of the pool. Anyways, and as for them, right here, in the view of orca expert Ken Balcombe, who personally I think is a Class A idiot, says Tilikum is basically psychotic. Yes, he was pulled away from his family, thrown into a pool with 2 other orcas he could not communicate with, and was masturbated. Yeah. Huh? He wasn't psychotic. He was defending himself. He has been maintained in a situation where I think is psychologically unrecoverable in terms of being a wild whale. Alright, we will never know the circumstances that led to the death of the second. I do. You might not know, but I sure the hell do. He's fighting back. He's a sentient being. If he didn't perform, he was left in a tank with 2 other orcas that were picking on him because he refused to perform. Alright, so, apparently 27-year-old Daniel Dukes hit up da-da-da-da-da. Okay, here we go. In fact, the behavior of Tilikum was incredibly divergent from everything we had learned about orcas in the wild. Yeah. So let me go down. The mental and dangerous impact of captivity. Tilikum is an anomaly. I disagree. Totally disagree. He fought for his freedom. That's not an anomaly. And unfortunately a very dangerous... He would not be dangerous if he was left in his home waters with his family, you idiots. A very, very dangerous anomaly, and I can attribute this to Tilikum being emotionally and mentally disturbed. In other words, insane. Bull crap shit. Okay? The only reason he was emotionally and mentally disturbed was because he's a sentient being being masturbated by a human, taken away from his family violently. If you think for a second that orca captures are not violent, every orca capture is violent. So he had to live with that. He had to live in isolation and being picked on. So whoever wrote this crap should expound. He's emotionally and mentally disturbed because He was taken away from his family. He's a sentient being, and he does not want a human being's hand masturbating him. God. Excuse me. Despite this, the SeaWorld show went on. Of course. It's all about money. Forget the sentient being. It's all about money. Despite this, SeaWorld show went on, and although she could not have imagined it herself at the time, Dawn Rancho was now in death row with Tilikum. Well, I don't consider any of these murders, okay? I consider this. You know what? Excuse me. Here's Dawn Rancho on the nose of Tilikum with her arms up, you know? It's like she's on show. Not the orca, but she's on show, showing everybody, I'm a goddess. I can control an orca. I can even masturbate his genitals and da-da-da-da. Well, you know what? If I was an orca, I would have killed her too. And on that end, have a great day. And like Rick O'Barry says, don't buy a ticket. Meaning, don't buy a ticket to these shows. Alright, have a great day. Bye-bye.